Hello, good morning, everybody. Perrin Lovett here for the Prepper Post News, courtesy of Freedom Prepper, and happy St. Patrick's Day. Even remembered to wear my green. Earlier in the week, we had some technical issues. Those are all corrected, I am most certain, today on St. Patrick's Day, Wednesday, March 17th, 2021. And hello to everybody at YouTube and the podcast and everybody on the community. Very, very important that more people come over and join the community for reasons we'll get to soon. But first, I want to talk about the need for silence. We don't need any more discussion, really, of anything, on any subject. Whatever you're told, just take it and run with it. Do what they tell you to, like you're a slave. For instance, ABC News reports about Georgetown University School of Law, where you are not allowed to notice reality or talk about it or even be concerned about it because, as we know, everything is racist. Story about there's a video, a Zoom conference between two law professors, and one lady was lamenting the fact that so many of the black law students just didn't do as well as others. And it's like, I guess she was trying to think of a way to, help them. That's not allowed. She's been fired, and the guy who was listening has been otherwise disciplined. So, they used to, separate but equal wasn't good enough, and now equal but just roll with the punches, just like with the military. If they decide that we all need to wear high heels and maternity flight suits and take extended leave that encompasses all of the term of enlistment, that's good. That's better. They are beating their chest and saying all kinds of things in response to Tucker Carlson because he dared to notice that what are you doing? You're not going to win any wars like this. It's not the objective. Winning is not. It's all about the money and the transformation of this place into something even worse. But and the guy that wrote this article / op-ed column for Lou Rockwell talked about some of his experiences, and it's exactly what you would expect. And they only get mad when you notice things that are real. So moving on. There was a guy, I've got a link to a video, an independent journalist named Richard. I guess that's his name. He does business under the name of Richard. More honest than ABC. He was staying at a hotel in Washington a few days ago, right the next block over from the White House. And on the screen, the TV inside his hotel room, they had a live press conference by Joe Biden in the Rose Garden. And it was nice and sunny, and people were clapping and making all kinds of noise, and there was, all kind of activity. That's on the TV live. So he looks out the window at the Rose Garden. It's overcast. Nothing is going on. There's no sound of any applause. Then an ambulance rolls by, right by the back gate of the White House. Loud siren, couldn't miss it. Not picked up on the live. It almost looks like we're watching a show and that a poor dementia patient is being horribly used for some sort of a terrible agenda. But don't notice the. It's like when you're watching a medieval movie and somebody leaves the Coke can on set. It doesn't matter. Don't notice things like that. Also, don't notice that now 15 nations, maybe more by now, in Europe have scrapped the AstraZeneca quote-unquote vaccine gene therapy drug because of rather horrible side effects. France and Germany are the latest two. Blood clotting is one. For every one of these gene therapy drugs, there's some sort of side effect that goes along with it. But most people are not noticing. Most people that I know so many people now that have had the jab, or at least had part of the jab. And the younger people, especially the younger women, they just can't wait. They're toying with cutting in line to get this. And everybody, all the old people, the doctors I know, They all look at me and they expect like, well, you're in line, right? I'm like, yeah. I'm gonna be kind. I'm a nice guy. I'm gonna let everyone go ahead of me. I'm gonna be number 7 billion. And if any of you manage to survive, a couple of years from now, I might think about it or not. I don't know. But don't notice the reality, please. Vaccine, schmaxine, blood clots. They need tourists. The EU last year pretty much locked down all non-essential. If you weren't an arms dealer or a banker or a business person with a legitimate business in Europe or a peace-bringing, GDP-boosting refugee, if you were a normal person, you were locked out of the EU. They may be about to lift all of that. That's good news. Something about tourist season and a dire lack of money. All right, let's shifting gears. I had to throw out a good story, and this one is just fantastic. It's something I posted at the community, and none of y'all really responded, and it's great. So anyway, I like classical music. I like piano music. Cannot play. Can't carry a tune in a bucket. But also Gen X. I like rock. So a long time ago, I somehow discovered people playing rock and roll covers on piano. And so I discovered this young woman in Russia named Alexandra, and her channel is called Mazda, like G-A Mazda, the car, Georgia Mazda. I don't know where that comes from, but she does some of the best piano cover work on, you name all eras of rock, and she does some classical stuff too. I like some of her covers, just her playing the piano, better than I do the original songs. I've got a link to the channel, much more popular than this one. It does not hurt. It does not hurt that she is extremely easy on the eyes, although that has absolutely nothing to do with the quality of the music. It just doesn't hurt. And I've got a link to at fp.com. I think this will work as an embed. Her take on Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train, and it's you just got to see this stuff to believe it. Also, seeing is believing. If you want to survive a riot, civil unrest, or other calamity, AR15.com had a grand first-person historical reliving of the wonderful 1992 Los Angeles extra peaceful protest in the wake of the Rodney King fiasco. You may remember those. This is a guy who met his wife at a sandwich shop by the mall, and these are Southern California people doing their thing, not thinking about reality. Yeah, they know that the peaceful protest that's like 5 miles away, and all of a sudden it rolled in on them like a tsunami. And this guy recounts the mad scramble to escape alive, and what happens to normal people when they're not prepared. So learn some do's and don'ts. It's a heck of a story. Some of you may remember that from the television. Very, very peaceful. Among the most peaceful protests I've ever seen. All right, shifting gears, approaching the final story of the day, which is about taxes. I've got a lesser tax story here. The news, I've got a link to a preview of the new tax plan that may be coming probably next year, the next Congress. They say this is from Joe Biden. We know he doesn't plan taxes or anything else. I don't know who is behind Joe Biden. This is their tax plan. If you select a fake president, if that president's a Democrat, you can expect higher taxes. Here they come. It's not and all this is designed to do is break up generational wealth and channel more of any value remaining to the mega banks and the ultra rich. It's not really going to affect the people who want a $15 minimum wage. Very few middle class ordinary people are left working at all to pay taxes. So don't worry about it. If you make a lot of money, you may look at an increase. I'm sure they're going to leave all the loopholes, especially for the people that make the most money. They don't pay any taxes at all. But they just don't want the upper middle class people to get ahead, and they don't want you to leave behind, an estate for your kids or grandkids. They want it all, and they're going to get it. biggest tax increase since 1993, if it happens. But if it does happen, then that's another one not to notice. All right. Get that. And actually, today's feature story, I am, again, proposing a tax. I actually agree with someone I never thought I would about a subject I never thought I would support, but it'll make sense in a second. Dr. Roberts is working with, oh God, I lost the guy's name. Two great economists have come up with a simple plan to eliminate the debt drag on the economy. This is at Dr. Paul Craig Roberts' website. We propose to deal with the debt crisis, and it is a crisis, by forgiving debts, as was done in ancient times. Not just ancient times, up until very recently. And it is biblical. 7 years, 50 years, whatever, we're overdue. Our basic premise is that debts cannot be paid and won't be paid. Widespread foreclosures and evictions would further worsen the distribution of income and wealth and further constrain the ability of the economy to grow, the real economy, not the fake paper economy. Writing down the debt to levels that can be serviced would clear the decks for a real recovery. Income that would be siphoned off in debt service would instead be available to purchase new goods and services. A few economists are muttering that we are overlooking the moral hazard, doesn't exist, of absolving people of their debts, but leaving the economy stagnated in debt is also a moral hazard. He's right about that. Murray Rothbard always made the great libertarian, always, was against the central bank and anything but gold money, but the debt was okay. A little suspicious, that one, Mr. Rothbard. But all things being equal, that's true as long as the money that the debt is based on is real. Hard money is not real. It's all fraud. It's literally, all these debt contracts are void because you're contracting an impossibility, things that do not exist, and they're backed by usury. So, which in my opinion should be a capital felony. Is that going to happen? Yes, it certainly will at some point. It would be better to go ahead and do it now, like he's suggesting, like I've suggested. And I'm about to get into a way that we could do that with very little pain for you and I. But there's some certain people that would not like it at all. And they're really not going to like what happens. They know what's coming, and they plan to golden parachute away to their, bolt holes in New Zealand. I hope they don't make it. But anyway, before I get to the featured story, I'd again like to remind you of your prepper to-do list. First of all, like this video, just thumbs up, and please do leave a comment. Those have been I know people are commenting at the community, great, but leave us a YouTube comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel while we still have one. Spread the word to all of your trusted friends and neighbors who you think might benefit, not just from my babbling here, but from the other videos and the other work that we're doing. And the coffee, of course. Don't forget the coffee. Join the Freedom Prepper community. That's the number one thing. Let's get away from their platforms and onto ours, where we participate in open and honest, prepper-centric discussions where you can embrace freedom. And another word to the podcast following, which keeps growing and which is now the majority of the audience. I have a picture that you guys can't see, but it's of the Anchor FM homepage of the Freedom Prepper podcast by Scott Hughes. Has our logo. You can listen on Spotify. You can send a message. I don't know what this is. It gives where to listen with some symbols, and if you click on those, you can listen, and then you got the list of all 100 and some odd so far podcast. You can share them on the control social media. Just bookmark that, or I guess there may be a way to join one of these, subscribe to it. But come on over to the community. Be part of the in crowd. And welcome to all the new folks who have just joined up. A few of you have been posting, and that's great. Now let's get to that feature story of the day. And this is really great. It's a tax that I can support. It's a tax, they say tax the rich. Well, who are the rich? I mean, the rich is the guy making $1 more than you. There's the well-off, the wealthy, and the ultra-wealthy. What about taxing the very richest group out there. And this is an idea that I've had, but it's been reinforced now. I never thought I would agree with this witch, but Janet Yellen wants to have a special, called a wealth tax on multinational corporations that shuffle the big money all around the world. I say, what's more multinational than a fake bank, criminal cabal bank owned by a bunch of foreigners? The Federal Reserve. Put a tax on their assets. What are their assets? Well, they believe it or not, they still have the gold that FDR stole from the people and gave to them. We could take that back by the exact same mechanism to fund the new gold-backed dollar. But their asset comes from the funny money, the printing press. It's electronic. They can just create infinite dollars, infinite Federal Reserve notes. And so we don't need infinite resources. We can just tax that to an amount to pay off all of the debts. And then we can make their operations illegal, burn their buildings down, run them off or declare them enemy combatants and deal with them the right way, make usurious lending a capital felony, and live in peace and prosperity, where our biggest decision would be which one of Alexandra's excellent rock and roll covers on piano to listen to. I like them all. She's got quite a few. And if you're looking for an artist to patronize and support, might I suggest her? And we certainly appreciate your patronage here. So back on track, I think. This one worked smoothly. Happy St. Paddy's Day. You know, the story about the snakes. If you think about Ireland, there are not a lot of snakes up in the North Atlantic. And certainly not, there are no venomous snakes. They just can't survive the weather. So what did he, that's because he drove them outright. Yeah, well. One of the miracles, the great miracles of St. Patrick, snakes was a metaphor for something else, something much worse. And yes, he did drive them out, and Ireland was a much better place for many centuries. So happy St. Patrick's Day. Wear your green or get pinched. And if you're in a pinch tomorrow, come on back. We'll have more news.